Welcome, everyone. And my name is Peyman, and it is my pleasure to have a little talk with you about the importance of DevOps in today's IT section, in today's development and programming section. Well, every company today is actually a software company. If you look at any company in the world, well, especially during the recent years, they are a software company. They are building their own softwares. Look at Uber, look at Turkcell, look at every other company around you. They have development team, they have services, they have mobile applications, and every day the competition is getting bigger and bigger, and time to market is everything. From the moment that you want to upgrade something on your software, from the moment that you want to introduce a new feature or even fix a bug, a security bug, it is very important that how long does it take for the developers to do something until this is applied on the production environment, until the users can actually benefit from the feature. Developers, they have a lot of problems themselves, working on a lot of source code. A developer is working on the new features as well as they are working on uh, the next generation of the software, as well as they are working on bug fixes and hot fixes. So they are busy developing, but they need to wait for weeks until the operation team, until the so everyone hear the word DevOps. Many people are interested in learning what is DevOps and investing in it. But most of the people, most of the developers, they think that DevOps is just something to learn. It is like a skill. But DevOps is a mindset. DevOps is not a skill. It is a combination of mindset plus a lot of the skills that you have to learn. But why DevOps is important? The question is that why a company needs to go to this path, why a company needs to employ DevOps mindset in its development. Well, the answer is there is a distinct gap between developers and administrators. Me as a developer, when I am working on the source code of a software, as you know, softwares, they evolve every day. Well, it is not like we create a software and we put it somewhere, it works for eternity. That is not true. Every application that you are using, every web application that you are using, everything that is written in a programming language needs to be updated. Not every day, not every week, maybe every month, but maybe every week. So bugs happen. We add new features. We have a dense competition in IT section, especially these days. Every company around you, if it is a sizable company, you can think it is a software company. Every big company has a software section. They are building a lot of software. They are working on backend applications. These softwares, they are connected together through APIs. And a lot of developers are working together to make these softwares, to make these applications and everything working. Well, apart from the developers, we have the operations team. Who are the operations team? The operations team are the guys who are responsible for the uptime of the service. If the service goes down even for a couple of minutes, it can impact massively on the reputation of the company. If the service is not working even for more of the time, it is a disaster. So operations team, their biggest concern is to be 99.9% uptime. Well, so it is clear when they are going to deploy a new version of the software, when they are going to deploy a patch to the software, they are afraid, because when you upgrade something, when you add something to your application in the production environment, a lot of things can happen that you are not ready for. So Usually, software deployment is a very slow process. When the development team has finished something, when they have finished a release, then it is the job of the operations team to test it, to change the passwords, to run it on a test environment before deploying it on the production environment. So all these things takes time, and usually errors happen, and then the operations team need to send back the project to the development team. They need to fix it again, and they need to pass it again to the operations team. Well, the friction between developers and administrators have always stopped companies from reaching their time to market. Time to market is everything. The competition is very tight today. So if you have an idea, the big question is that how long does it take for you, for your company, to take this idea to production? If you have an idea, if you have a bug, the question is how long does it take for you to fix the bug and deploy it in the production? Well, the entire DevOps ecosystem is a mindset that will create an environment for both developers and operations team to work together in a more efficient way to decrease time to market. So in successful companies, in companies that they have deployed DevOps in a proper way, usually this process happens in less than a day. So from the time that the developer or the team of development, they prepare a release, it takes less than 12 hours for the operations team to publish or deploy it on the production environment. So what the managers, what the CTO of the company wants, and once it is created by developers, it should be very fast for operations team to deploy it without any errors. All the tests should be automated. Everything should be clear between the programmers, developers, and the operations team. And it is difficult. Well, how can we fix this problem? How can we shorten this gap between these two groups? Well, it is employing DevOps mindset. So now let's talk about what is DevOps exactly. Well, DevOps is a set of skills, tools, and changing of the approach in the companies who have development team to make time to market much smaller. This is the definition of DevOps. But let me go a little deeper and give you an example of what do I mean by this. If you look at the development team, what are the problems they have? Me as a developer, what is my problem? First, my problem is that I am working on multiple source codes at the time. We have a production source code. This is our production fixed source code that is working. At the same time, I am working on some new features that are going to be released, let's say next week. At the same time, I am working, or one of my teammates is working on a bug fix that should be fixed as soon as possible. And at the same time, I am working on the next version of the program that is going to be available next year. As you can see, a developer constantly is working on multiple source codes. Not one developer. We are talking about multiple developers working together on different versions of source code. Well, if there is no efficient source code management, well, everything is going to be a mess. Maybe you have heard about Git version controlling system, which is actually an evolution in programming and in development. Every successful company is now built on Git. Everything is happening on Git. Why? Because it is giving you the power of working efficiently without thinking about the possible problems that can happen between developers. And also, Git can help the operations team to access what everyone is doing and to integrate it with the continuous delivery and continuous integrity of their system, so they can implement tests on it, so they can implement a lot of modifications to the source code before it goes online. Well, you know, when we receive a release from development team, there must be a lot of things done on the source code before it can be online. For example, the developers, they work on a test environment. One of the biggest problems in IT world is that, and me as a developer, I am working on my laptop. I am working on a virtual machine installed on my laptop. And this environment is different from the production environment. This is a big problem. Maybe the version of the database, Postgres database, for example, I am using is different from the version of Postgres database that is being used on the production environment. Maybe I am using a small query that is not working in the production. So what is the solution here? The solution here, the best solution here is that all the developers, they must use the same environment, a copy of the same environment that is working on the server, that is working on the production environment. And we make this happen by containers. You have heard about Docker, LXC, and the other containers that is available, but Docker is mostly heard because it is much more famous. So what is Docker? Why actually we use it? We use it to create the same environment as the production for developers. So we decrease the problems that can happen. We containerize an application and all its necessary libraries and everything that it needs. And everywhere, even if you are using Windows, Mac OS, or Linux for development, it doesn't matter because you are working on a container that is the same. And actually, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of skills, there are a lot of things that developers and operations team need to learn, and it will make them much closer together. That is why we call it DevOps. DevOps comes from the development and operations team. And when they are closer, when they can work with less friction, then what we want to deploy, what we want to make happen, it takes place much faster on the production environment with less error. Today, you cannot imagine if a company is not using DevOps at all. Well, we employ DevOps from 0 to 100, so we never reach 100 anywhere, because it is like a process. You start it, you build it little by little, and it is a value. It is a value you add to your company when you are moving from legacy software development to DevOps-oriented development. Another aspect of DevOps is automation. Automation is very crucial. Automation is very crucial. What happens if you lose a server? And maybe you say that we may have backup for that server. Yes, I know we have backups of everything, but what happens if I want to upgrade the operating system behind the service that I have? I have a service that is working on, let's say, Red Hat version 6, and I am planning to upgrade it to Red Hat version 7. A lot of things must change. If I do not employ automation, if I do not have any infrastructure for automating software development and software deployment, everything is going to be a mess. Sometimes you can ever upgrade something. Upgrading is a painful process. And if you are not planning for it, and if you are not automating the everyday processes and your tests, I have seen a lot of companies, they have stuck in upgrading for years. I'm not talking about months. And they cannot simply upgrade, because when they upgrade to newer version of the operating system or services, their software is not going to work. And security is very important. And if you are not upgraded, you are very prone to be attacked. Well, let me summarize everything. DevOps is not something that you can learn in one course or something. DevOps is not something that a company can create in one day or 1 week. DevOps is a mindset that needs to be created, and it is different everywhere. Maybe the flavor of DevOps that we have in one company is different from the flavor of DevOps that we have in another company. Maybe in one company, we are using automation with Ansible, let's say, and in another company, we are using automation with another software tool. So My advice to all the software companies, to all the people who are in charge, is that to slowly go to become DevOps oriented until it is so late. Thank you very much for listening.